On this episode of Healthier Workplaces, we discuss careers for women in industrial hygiene and OEHS with our guest, Diana Peroni. Coming up. Welcome to another episode of Healthier Workplaces. I'm Bob Krell, founder and publisher of Healthy Indoors Media, and your host for this program from AIHA. Stay with us.
We are back again live from AIHCE 23, Phoenix, Arizona, for the Healthier Workplaces show. I'm Bob Krell, founder and publisher of Healthy Indoors Magazine and Media, and the host for this program. So we're really happy to welcome our next guest, Diana Peroni. Nice to meet you and
nice to
see
be
you here. Great topic we're talking about. So we're going to be talking about women in OEHS, and in our pre-show, we talked a little bit about how maybe the demographics changed a little bit, right? You know,
Yep.
at least when I got into the industry was predominantly male centric, not that it isn't. So I mean, I guess the first thing is what are some of the challenges maybe unique and key that women face in this profession?
I think the challenges are similar in the OEHS profession as to other STEM fields or other fields where women haven't traditionally been part of that. It's things such as, gender bias, maybe the traits that women tend to have might not be seen as desirable. But, in reality, what does happen, especially getting into leadership roles, women maybe feel that they can't get to, advance into a leadership role, and that's where sometimes the gender bias is more prominent, where most people tend to see men as more capable, when really women and men have the same may have the same background, may have the same qualifications, but studies have actually shown quite the opposite. That companies,
women may have more empathy too. Which is not a bad thing.
It's especially in our field, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In the health and safety field, I think it's a very desirable trait, and it can be really beneficial to women in that field.
Has these challenges evolved over time? I mean, are you seeing it in your time in the industry?
I would say so. Yes, kind of what we were talking about before we started recording this. Is we have seen change, for sure. It's still probably not where we'd want it to be. While women make up half the population, there's still only about 30% in the health and safety field, but it's improved quite a bit. So yes, there certainly is changes, and I've seen it through my career, for sure. I've been in the field over 20 years, and when I first entered, I was typically the only woman in the room, but, it definitely has changed. Even you can see it at the conference, the change in the demographics of people that are here, that people are in the field.
But, I mean, that was a challenge for you, right, when you entered the field?
Yeah, and I would say as a young woman is where I really felt the biggest, where, maybe we were treated with the same respect. And that it was much more apparent to me as a young woman that people didn't necessarily see you as an equal.
Well, I mean, age bias too, right?
I think it was the combination.
Because I experienced that when I was being a short male.
Yeah.
And and I, I used to look a lot younger, but I mean, but when I first started in the indoor environmental industry, I was mid-30s or early 30s, but I probably looked like I was 20. And, right off the bat, like, what do you know, kid?
Right, exactly. And I think it's a combination, I think, for women. So if you experience it as a male, a young male, for women it's even more so. So it's the two biases, gender and age, I think, at that time, yeah. So,
in your experience, what are some of the advantages, or unique contributions that women can bring to the OEHS profession? That I'm not going to say women are uniquely suited in some ways. We mentioned, certainly, I think there's more of a propensity for empathy.
Right. No, I think that's a very good point, and I think it's a really important characteristic. Yeah, really, at the heart of what we're doing as health and safety professionals is trying to help people, right?
Right.
So with empathy, you're going to do a really good job at that. Other skills too. Communication. I think women can be a little bit better sometimes in communicating, to the employees that they're trying to tell, what's going on in that. So certainly, there's skill sets that women can really bring, and companies with more women in leadership roles have shown to be more successful. So there's certainly data there.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, there's data to back it up too.
Yeah, it's interesting, because again, I think I certainly, from my experience, my 35 years ish in the industry, I've seen some evolution here. It seems like it's still it's slow coming, right? I mean, it does seem almost counterintuitive that half of the population are female, and in most jobs we're not similar to those numbers, right?
Yeah. So, and definitely in our field, as I mentioned, yeah, that's true. But I would say for all underrepresented groups, if we can get more, everybody participating is a good thing. Teams that are diverse and people coming in are going to bring more innovation, more things of that sort. So. Not just women. I want.
Well, right. Well, I mean, I guess because we could extend this to say just diversity in general,
correct.
Right? More inclusiveness.
Yes.
And maybe that's I don't know which what's the cart before the horse, but whatever we can do to leverage to make the industry overall more inclusive makes sense.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's good for our industry, and it's also good for the employees that we're trying to protect.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like you would like to hope that the people that are involved on the OEHS side, on the health and safety side, are going to be similar and have similar backgrounds and interests and stuff to the people that they're working with.
For sure. Yeah.
Because it's just it makes sense. Because again, having empathy, I think, is a big part of it. But even just having a perspective, an understanding of maybe what
the challenges that they may be dealing. Yeah. As I know, you said you filmed the PPE show, and that's an area in particular that we've gotten into and really tried to put. So obviously, not just getting more women in the field, but also how do we protect more women workers? Making sure that they have PPE that fits them or meets their needs, and. So just have that's
because PPE is really especially most of it's been designed for men.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And I noticed that even in the show there was more male models.
Yes.
I wonder why.
Well, this is only our second year. Hopefully, in future years we'll have a more diverse PPE that we can demonstrate. Yeah.
It makes total sense because obviously from a stature standpoint there's physical major differences between males and females.
Right.
And to not even account for that, well, I mean, let's run with that for a second because it's interesting. Because is it because women traditionally haven't worked in a lot of these industries that require PPE? Is that really what it is?
That's really what it comes down to. Yeah, I think so. In the traditional fields where you're going to be wearing a lot of this PPE, construction, manufacturing, women haven't fully. They're still a small percentage of that population, but they're not. It's not zero, so we still need to protect that percent of the workforce. So that I think that's really where it's coming from. I've seen change. We've slowly seen change. We're having more, but we do still need more growth there.
Yeah, no, I mean, and again, this is it's an evolution, but it seems like it's almost painstakingly slow at certain points.
Yes, and that comes demand. So I think if we can put more pressure on the manufacturers to make more diverse PPE, and then buy it so that they want to make it.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, not that a lot of PPE is not that well fitted to short male
Right.
statures either.
Right.
Now I'm a short fat guy, so it's a little different. But even when I was slender, it's like
Right.
most of the suits are not really designed for somebody my height.
Right,
If, 5'4.5" male,
Right.
it's like
Yeah. So, but if you're working in that workplace, you need to be protected too.
So you have to use a lot of duct tape to tape
That's
up
it.
which is what you're doing. Is you're literally
and
taping
that's
your
what most
suits up.
women have to do,
yeah,
right?
It's crazy. It is,
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess it's super important, right, for us collectively as an industry to encourage women to enter the OEHS field, right? Because the only way you're going to achieve diversity and achieve that inclusiveness is to actually get people interested in coming into that area. So how do we do that?
Yeah, tough point, but we do need to do it. And I think in general, we need to have more people coming into the industry as a whole, right? We need to make sure that there's enough programs out for students to enter. In particular, when you're looking at women, if we can highlight and show women working in the workplace and doing this career, I think, the younger generation, if they can see themselves in the people performing the work, they can see themselves going into that career. So that's certainly one way, if we highlight women in the OEHS profession, I think that will encourage more women, and then just get the word out about our profession. I think that's probably one of the biggest things, when we go out and tell people what we do, nobody still knows what it is.
Well, I mean, the term industrial hygiene is still like, it's one of those terms that people don't understand.
Right.
Do you clean factories?
Right, exactly.
How many times has that been said, right?
Right.
Or the other one is that, because we were doing that for the first 8 episodes, the pilot of this series, one of the questions we would ask every guest after the whole interview is over, just for some outtakes, is, name the most interesting or funny thing that somebody, when you told them what you did, that you're an industrial hygienist, what you actually, what your job was. And it was either cleaning factories or cleaning teeth.
Yes, for sure. Because they've heard the term hygienist, but it's always with the dental hygienist.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so if we can encourage more the next generation, the younger generation, to go into the field, and then show that there's, women in this field, I think we'll get more women. I think, when you look at the younger generation, I think our field is really suited to what they're looking for. They want to, use technology, which we have, and they want careers where they feel purpose, which we have.
Sure.
So, we can be that career for the future, but for the future generations, but we just got to show them what it is and tell them what it is. And
well, you mentioned too that like it's a natural tie into STEM, which obviously that's being promoted a lot. But in other shows I've done and for other programs, there still seems to be a lag even in the whole STEM area promoting it among people of color and women. Still, it still seems to be very male centric. So what types of things do you think we can do to help promote that to young women to get them down this path?
So in addition to some of the stuff we already talked about, showing more women in the field, but I'd also say allies. So men can be really great allies and promote the field to women, and speak up for the women that they work with, and make sure that they're feeling accepted in this career and not turned away. Not making it a career that they feel they need to leave because they're not welcome in it. So allies have a huge role to play. I mean, this is to get more women in the field. It's not just up to the women; it's up to everyone. So certainly that I would say, and like I said, more promotion to the younger generations. And I think it's kind of losing train of thought.
It's okay. The outtakes are fun, aren't they? It's like that's okay. It's like one of these days we'll make a highlight reel of the show. But yeah, I mean that's it's I think studying even just STEM in general, doing that. But since we're speaking specifically about OEHS, I mean, how do we effectively communicate the benefits of a career in OEHS to young women? Like, I mean, because that's part of it. You said part of it is that we have to, certainly we need to have women in the field promoting it. We certainly need to have men in the field promoting it.
Right.
And that's implying that we're going to have men that buy into that, which I hate to say, there's still, a faction of males that don't view women as equal in tech positions, which is absurd. But anyway, you still have that.
Right.
I mean, so that's something to overcome. So I guess how do we communicate that?
Communicate that?
Yeah.
Well, I think you're probably on the right track here. I mean, I think using tools and communication methods that the younger generation wants to use, right? So videos, podcasts,
right. A
you
show
know,
like this, right?
Yeah, a show like this. Using our social media. We for the committee that I'm in, the Women in IH committee, we do have several social media platforms that we try to use, and AIHA is really certainly getting better. And I think you've been pretty busy on collecting some videos, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been running ragged. This first 2 days of this event, and there's been no rest for the wicked.
For sure, yeah. So, I think that those are really great tools to get the word out about what we do, how we do it, and how it's a great career for people to get into.
Mentorship and networking obviously are critical, right? Having those opportunities, for career development for everybody, gender regardless, but especially now if we're trying to attract women into the industry, and so I guess what are your thoughts on that? Is like, how do we enhance those type of programs so that they're going to be something that would be enticing to women to jump into it?
Yeah, I think what we've seen, we have enough people that want to be mentors, and we have enough people that want to be mentees. We just need to match them up. That's the kind of the tricky part, is having resources and opportunities where we can make those connections and develop those connections. So whether it's resources or tools, like for instance there's a mentor palooza this evening, things like that, where we can really try to match up those connections and then give them resources that they need to keep that connection going.
I mean, do you think of a couple of examples of how things that have worked in that regard, as far as trying to promote that?
I think so. Having those, like I mentioned, the opportunities where where the mentees can meet future mentors, and try to identify one that maybe is in their particular career field, that their technology that they're working in, or an industry that they're working in, or just someone that they have a connection with, so they have a chance to meet. But then I think also providing resources that will help them in that as they build that relationship. So whether that's like a mentor toolkit or something like that, I think could be really helpful. I've seen that at different companies I've worked at that work really well, when you give people so they're not just randomly meeting up and chatting, which is great too, but maybe giving them, like, set up some goals, some objectives.
Right. So it's some sort of a structure to it, so that you can actually facilitate it.
Yeah.
As opposed to just hoping that you throw two people in a room and something great comes of it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And also try to do a little screening, like so that people can try to find mentors and mentees that are going to have a good connection.
That makes you mentioned that point. That makes a lot of sense, because for you to actually have that relationship, there really does have to be a connection where the two people are on the same wavelength.
Right. Exactly.
Somehow you got to be on the same page with it.
Yeah. Maybe you have the same communication style. Something like that.
Exactly.
Right?
I could see you could have a very bad mismatch, and it would be totally non-beneficial for either side, right? And obviously, the mentorship programs, for the most part, I'd say by and large, would be a volunteer thing. The people that are mentoring,
right.
So they want to have a good experience too. They're offering their time to try to help foster this with people coming into the workplace. So it's a two-way street there.
It absolutely.
It's not just for the mentee; it's the mentor too.
I think most mentors get a lot out of it. I think a lot of people want to volunteer their time and be a mentor because they want to help bring more people into the profession, keep people in the profession, and as I think as a whole, our profession is really wants to give back, right? We're here to help people, so they also want to kind of foster people along in the process.
Yeah, and the thing with with the mentor aspect, like we talked earlier with some of the other interviews that we've done here for the show, in terms of volunteerism and getting involved in committees and being active in your industry. But mentoring maybe is one of the most powerful things to do to help promote the industry. It's a one-on-one thing, like getting on a committee and attempting to develop a new standard. Okay, that's a big, impactful, big team effort. But the one-on-one that you can get from mentoring maybe is more gratifying.
Right, it can always be more powerful, right? Yeah. And it could be, you don't necessarily have to commit as much time. It can really vary depending, from matchup to matchup, how much, whether it's, a few hours a month or more than that. It's kind of really up to each partnership.
in what ways can we actively promote and advocate for greater representation of women in the OEHS career path? How do we, because I think, and it's incumbent, and who should be doing that? And I already know what your answer is.
Yeah, everyone should be doing it.
Exactly.
That's my answer.
But I felt I had to lead into that, because I had to be the dumb male to walk into that one, because honestly, it seems like, of course, it's everybody's responsibility.
Right. Yeah. So yes. So it's everyone should be doing it, and it. Like I spoke about earlier, like allyship is really important. So men really should be part of this. And a lot of the stuff going back to how we do it is a lot of stuff we've already talked about today. I think promoting the profession and really demonstrating what it can bring to people that go into it, and what it's fun. We most people here at the conference, we really enjoy what we do. So there's so many benefits to it, and just getting, making it visible to the next generation that we are, that this is a really good career path, that not only do you feel you will feel like you're accomplishing something, you helping the greater good. There are jobs out there. There's
not for nothing. It's actually pretty good career.
It's a pretty good career. Yeah. So that alone, but then you get all the other good stuff with it too. So I think just getting that word out more, and like I mentioned earlier, showing the younger women and the girls, that this is a career path for them potentially, and let them see women at all different levels that work in this field, so they can see their future selves in those women that they see.
Yeah, and you had mentioned that earlier, and just touch on it again, is like actually being able to show examples, visually show examples in video or still images, because there's not enough.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And the thing is, and you don't want to see images of stock models posing with PPE, doing stuff like that, because you know that those are not really people in the industry.
Right.
It's almost readily apparent, right?
Yeah, you want to highlight the real people doing it. Yeah,
in the field.
Yeah, we did an article in the March Synergist where we highlighted 4 women at different career paths or different career levels, and that's one way. Granted, that's all going to the already the OEHS profession, but still, it's showing them, the more women in the field.
I mean, does it make sense to I know there's initiatives, to promote indoor environmental quality in schools and stuff. Does it make sense to try to take this to a grassroots thing too? So for AIHA members to actually in their local communities, their local school districts, to help try to promote this at career days.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And that's something that everybody could do, right? And just go to their local career day and demonstrate what we do and show, like I said, the benefits and the fun you can have in our career.
Right. It's a great industry. So it's this is great stuff you're doing. And I think it's really important that across the board, as an industry, we need to keep fostering this and this whole idea of inclusiveness and making this not just a white male dominated industry. And I think we're making
progress.
Yeah, much progress has been made in my short career path. I mean, I've seen it, but we're not done.
No. Still more work to do.
A lot more to do. Diana, thanks so very much for joining us. Super important topic, and it's something we all need to be working on and striving to try to encourage more women to enter this career path. It's a great career path.
Absolutely.
And you belong here.
Right, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you.
So that's our show for this week. We'll be back again with another episode of Healthier Workplaces. Until next time, I'm Bob Krell. Stay healthy.